views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, good people of the Bronx and beyond. Welcome to A Life in Art. For artists, balancing the struggles of practical life and pursuing a dream are par for the course. In this show, we will bring you engaging and personal conversations with actors, dancers, singers, musicians, and other performing artists who you may not be familiar with. People who have been working on their craft for at least a decade and are at a crossroads where passion meets necessity, but whose talent and quality of work cannot be denied. This is A Life in Art. Welcome everyone, my name is Henry Ovalles and I'm your host for A Life in Art. We'll discuss creativity and inspiration with our guest artists, but also ask questions such as, how much longer can I continue to pay rent and perform for the love of the art? Can I feel fulfilled without my art? Our guest today is a talented Bronx-born actress and a fellow graduate of the Lehman College Theater Department who has been working in LA for several years. Today we learn about Jennifer Fernandez's life in art. JJ Gonzalez. Actually, Jennifer Fernandez is here in the studio today. Jen, so great to see you. I haven't seen you in how long now? A year and a half?
It's been a year and a half.
That's too long. Why is that? What happened?
I don't know. I don't know. I was busy in LA.
Got it.
Didn't have time for family. No, I'm kidding.
So we met several years ago now in the theater department at Lehman College. I had the chance to direct you. We co-produced, I think, a couple of things. I think we shared the stage once or twice. So there's a bit of history there, right? So let's take it from the beginning. You're an actress is what I know you as, but you've gone into other fields as well, journalism. You're a TV host as well, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's start. Where were you born? Where did you grow up?
Grew up in the Bronx, 167th Street and Ogden Avenue. Whoop, whoop. To Dominican parents.
Got it.
And went to Catholic school, and then went into the public school system.
Which Catholic school?
Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart, and where's that located?
It was right like down the street from where we lived.
Oh yeah, I think I'm familiar with that school.
Yeah, I think 170th.
All right, so pretty much a Catholic upbringing as well?
Correct.
Got it. And how many siblings do you have?
I have an older sister.
Older sister, right. So
who now made me an auntie, and I have 3 beautiful nephews.
3 already? Wait a minute, did I miss one?
I think so.
Oh wow, okay, 3.
He's gonna be 2, so yeah, within that year and a half, that's what happened.
Got it. And what's the age difference between your sister and you?
She's 3 years older.
3 years old, all right. So she was there to sort of guide you along and tell you what to do and what not to do? Was
yeah,
that the
she
relationship?
was mommy number 2 when mom wasn't around. She was working and things like that. So.
Got it. And you guys always got along, or was there some friction there because she was trying to be mommy? You're not my mom, any of that?
No. I mean, in retrospect, now I see that like I've always wanted guidance.
Right.
So that wasn't, she didn't have a problem giving it.
Got
she
it.
would guide me, and my mom would always make me go to parties with her or go wherever Evelyn goes, Jennifer goes.
Got it.
So Evelyn didn't really like that I was her tail.
Right.
But there was her little sister everywhere she went. But because of that, I've learned so much through her own experiences.
Right.
And there was like things that I learned to stay away from because, oh, it happened to my sister, so it's not gonna happen to me.
Right,
So-
and that's that tight bond
right.
there.
So it was like a mentoring.
And what's the situation with your parents there? I know your parents are divorced, correct?
They are.
And at what age did that happen?
I was 13 years old.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah.
I thought you were younger when that happened.
Really?
Yeah. So 13. And how did that affect you? Not easy.
Well,
I'm
I
sure.
didn't know it affected me until like an acting class.
Really?
And Dante Alberti.
So years later in college.
Yes.
Got it. So let's back up a little bit then, continuing with your education. So you went to Catholic school, which
Yeah.
grades?
I went to Catholic school up until the 4th grade, and then my
Alright.
sister had graduated Catholic school.
Got it.
So my mom said there's no reason to put just one person through Catholic school. You're going to go into the public school system, which I didn't really. I think there was like some sort of course, financial thing going on.
That makes sense.
But
all right.
you know, when it's 2, you get a lower rate.
Yeah. So then you go into
So-
the public school system,
Yeah.
and then for college, where did you go? Lehman
I
College was your
started
first,
off
or-
at Hunter College.
Got it.
I think I did a year and a half there. Didn't like the program much, but I didn't want to be in the Bronx again because that's where I lived all my life.
Right.
I kind of wanted to venture off, and
Right. Go away.
that didn't happen.
And then you ended up back in the Bronx.
And then I ended up back in the Bronx at Lehman College.
And was your intended major from the beginning theater or acting, or did you start with something else?
I think I started with, back in the day, it was multilingual journalism. I think that's what they
Okay.
had here.
So yeah, so the journalism angle is something that, so let's go there. When did you get bit by the acting bug? Was it early on in elementary, middle school, some school play, or how did it happen? Church?
No, I just remember watching a lot of television growing up.
Right,
I remember watching Saved by the Bell.
right.
We're aging ourselves here, or I am.
Oh, we're
And-
the same, yeah.
And I wanted to do what they were doing. So my earliest recollection of wanting to be an actor was like I was 12 years old.
Got it.
But my dad recently told me that he's like, do you remember we were sitting watching television and you were 8 years old and you said, I'm going to be in there. I'm going to be in there. And I said, how old was I? He's like, you were 8. And I said, oh, because my earliest recollection is when I was 12. But I guess
And for you, it
Went
came
back
when you were
earlier.
12 through a play that, or just watching TV?
I was watching
You
television.
hadn't actually done it, you were...
No, yeah. And I just said I want to do it. And that's when I told my mom, hey, I think we need headshots to do this. And it was like black and white headshots back in those
Wow.
days.
So you went through the marketing angle right away. Like, before I get my training, let me get the headshot.
Yeah, we got gypped though. There were so many gimmicks. Like,
oh,
you know,
there's
you
so many
turn to the
stories like that.
classifieds
Got it.
and like looking for models, actors. We didn't know any better. My mom was like, sure, if this is what you want to do, let's do it.
This must be legit.
And then, yeah, $500 for,
Ah, yikes.
yeah, so.
Yeah, it's similar. We have similar experiences. For me, I was, I think, 9 years old when I decided I was watching a lot of TV, and it was growing pains for me. For you, it was Saved by the Bell. So there you go.
I watched that too.
See? But that was the
Maybe I
one,
wanted
because
to be a cheerleader or
the
something.
Kirk
I
Cameron
don't know.
character, Mike Sieber, he was, an actor. I'm like, oh, that's what I want to do. All
Kirk
right.
Cameron.
Yes.
He's
So
doing well for himself now.
yeah, I think so, right? So let's get back then to, and then at 13, your parents split, and what happens there?
What happens at home?
Yeah, you stay in the apartment that you're living at, and your dad goes?
You would think I'd see him less. My dad ended up moving like around the corner from where we lived.
Oh, wow, okay.
Which was good and bad. Bad for him because I feel like he had to see my mom in this new relationship. My mom later remarried.
Got it.
And so I just kept thinking about my dad. How is he feeling? And I wasn't even worried about, like, I think I was too young to process what I was going through.
Right.
I was more so worried about my dad. Is my dad happy? Is my dad happy?
Yeah, I think that's
my mom
common.
is happy, but is my dad happy?
Right.
So I think that's the process that I was going through. And so I would see my dad, just go around the corner, see my dad visit, and then come back home. And
All right. So there wasn't really
was-
sadness that you felt inside yourself. It was more concern for,
yeah,
the parent that you felt you wasn't
was he
sure.
lonely? Yeah,
Got it.
things like that.
Right, on that footing. Yeah.
And I didn't understand what was going on between my mom and my dad.
Right.
So later,
Yeah, how could you at that age, really?
Later on, I was like, oh, okay, I see.
Right. And within your family, is anyone else, were there any artistic pursuits from your father, your mother, your sister, or are you the only one there?
No, I think I was the only one.
Got it. All right, so let's take a break there now that we've gotten into the genesis of Jennifer Fernandez and her acting career. And when we come back, we'll start talking about, what happened next and what sort of shows you were working on. We'll take a quick break, be right back with more. We'll see you soon.
Very.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Don't let E. coli mosh with your food. An estimated 3,000 Americans die from a foodborne illness each year. So always separate raw meat from vegetables. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Teachers today are finding new ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable.
Today, 1 out of every 4 American kids is Hispanic.
That means many of the future doctors who will care for us, the engineers who will build our cities, the scientists and entrepreneurs of our country can be your kids.
We all know how hard it is for you to send them to college. This is why we want you to know you are not alone.
And every day more people support you to make it happen. Many support you. And the Hispanic Scholarship Fund helps you prepare, plan, and pay for your kids' college education.
hsf.net.
Welcome back to A Life in Art. We're here with actress and my friend Jennifer Fernandez. So Jen, when we left off, we had talked about sort of your Genesis family life when you got started. So we talked about journalism was your first passion before acting. So how did that come about? That was just, you wrote a lot as a kid, or?
Yeah. My sister was a reader, and so I would pick up her books and read as well, but I did more of the writing. There was poetry that I did a lot of, which I still have my journals and books.
That's great.
And I did a lot of, journaling and letters.
Poetry. And when did you decide that, no, that acting was really the thing and not journalism? Or is that the case, or do you still journal?
I still do journal.
And you have a blog now, right?
I do.
All right. So writing was the first passion.
Yeah.
And it still runs through your veins.
As much as I try to pick one, both were very much a passion of mine. So I couldn't put one down and pick up the other. So even when I did acting, there was a longing to write. And when I wrote, there's sort of still a desire to act.
Have you ever performed in anything that you wrote for yourself?
No.
Have you ever written for the stage or for screen, or your writing has actually been separate from that art form?
It has been separate up until I went to LA.
Got it. Yeah. All right. So, and also I think you actually were pursuing a master's degree in journalism, right?
I was.
Right, but you didn't finish that program.
I didn't finish it. No, I figured out it wasn't for me.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. And then, so talk to me about when the first time is that you got in front of a camera or on stage. When did you actually act for the first time? And
My first experience was a stage play for high school. I went to Evander Childs High School in the Bronx.
Okay.
And they were doing a musical, West Side Story.
Oh, really? West Side Story was your first? And which role did you play?
Anita.
Wow.
And I'm like, guys, I don't sing. And they're like, no, it's okay. She more so talks and sings. It's not really sing. So that was the kind of production we did. But they were like, you have the spunk and the sass to be Anita. You're Anita.
That's
like,
awesome.
Okay.
I'm glad we're having this conversation because there's a lot of things that I relate to that I don't think we had discussed before. Like, looking at TV and wanting to be inside it. At Lehman College, one of my first productions was West Side Story. It was actually the second play I had ever done in the United States, and I freaked out about it because I don't sing or dance either. And they said, "Oh no, but you got something." And they had me play Diesel, who's supposed to be like this strong guy, and back then I was 150
I think
pounds
I saw
wet.
you in that. That was the first play that I saw here.
Yeah, it was a nice
Lehman.
production, but it was a traumatic experience for me because of the singing and stuff. And I'm not a big fan of musicals, as the audience will come to learn throughout the show as I interview other musical theater artists. But for you, it was a good experience.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Right, and you felt that applause, and then you were hooked. Yes?
Yes-ish.
Yes-ish? So what's the ish?
I mean, for me, it was more so, I think it was the feeling that I got from acting and not, from the applause or from what, although everyone came up to me afterwards and said, "You were great, Jen. You were great. You were great." And I'm like, what? I was just being, it was so natural to me, and it came so, it was just like I came alive on stage. You'll hear people say that all the time.
Yeah, no, but that's fantastic that at such an early age that usually doesn't happen. How old were you when you did this?
I was probably 14.
14, right, high school. Yeah, and already from your first play, you're talking about just being, and it came naturally to you, which, and not about the applause, but about the craft. That's usually something that comes after you've been doing it for 10 years. Right. Usually at the beginning, you're just yes, I can speak loudly and they hear me and they clap for me. This is amazing. Huh.
Well, I think because I was shy all my life.
Right.
And so when I had that opportunity to sort of speak, like you said, and portray a character or find myself in the character, I probably didn't know that then.
Right.
it was a sense of, oh, here's my voice. I found my voice.
Right,
I
it was
found
this
my
amazing
place.
outlet that you didn't that you didn't know existed beforehand.
Right.
All right, so then you major at Lehman College in multilingual journalism. Then also, did you minor in theater? Was it?
No, I started off doing that, but then I switched.
Oh, then you switched to theater.
I switched to theater once.
So in college, that's you
once
started
I
doing
tasted
shows
some
there.
more of
Right.
Lehman theater.
You're like, no, let me do this.
Yes.
And you actually did some directing also. I remember you directed a great production of Yo Soy Latina,
Yo
which
Soy Latina.
that's something that's important to you as well. And I remember how passionate you were about it. Want to talk to me a little bit about that experience, working with actors as a director for the first time?
Yeah, I wonder why I don't do more of it. I think I really enjoyed that directing experience and being behind
Right.
the scenes, which is what I'm sort of pursuing now, more so than in front of the camera.
Got it.
I think with that experience, it was just about getting the message out. And so I didn't care if I was the one acting or if I was behind the scenes, if I was getting the water, whatever silly thing. Like, it didn't matter. I wanted people to hear the story.
This is like really impressive. Like your base for how you got into the art and how you continued is very, very pure. Usually what I hear from people is, oh, I wanted to be in a commercial or I wanted the billboard. And I mean, when you started talking about, let me get my headshot as the first thing, I thought that, maybe that was the angle that you were going to start with and then eventually end up here after years and years. But there seemed like there's something, very pure at your core with your art from the very beginning. That's refreshing, actually.
Oh, don't make me cry.
So let's get to your first, well, we talked to one of our previous guests, Jose Roldan Jr., who you're familiar with. And we'll get to that now, is probably the only other guest that is not a local guest who's bi-coastal, who works in New York and LA. Talk to me about the decision to move out to Los Angeles. Why did that come about? Was it to pursue acting full-time? And tell me a little bit about that.
Jose was very instrumental in that because he was already there.
Right.
So he became sort of my safety net, security blanket. But since I was 18, I wanted to move to Los Angeles.
You did, okay. And that came to, growing up in the Bronx, going to school in the Bronx, wanting to go to Hunter College. That wasn't far enough.
Get out of
There
the
must be
city, Jennifer.
Got it.
Just get out. But I had a boyfriend.
And he kept you here.
He did.
Got it.
Or so we think, right? But so those 4 years I spent in college, and I said, okay, I'll just finish college here. And then once I finish my degree, then I can go pursue it in LA.
Oh, so that was the plan from the get-go.
Yeah, but I think somewhere along the way, I kind of forgot about LA. Just in the midst of everything that I was doing, I was like, maybe LA was a far-fetched idea anyway. But when Jose was actually doing it, I said, wait a minute. I remember wanting to do what he's doing now. And if he's doing it, why can't I?
Right, so you're like, this can be done.
And then a room was available where he was living, and all the pieces were lining up.
Serendipity.
And it worked out.
Right, but you weren't close to Jose before moving out to LA. It was he was just an acquaintance, right? Or did you guys have a close friendship?
We were, it was more than an acquaintance, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I must have misremembered that then. Okay, so then you head out to LA to pursue acting, and we're about to take a little break, and then when we come back, we're gonna discuss what happens in LA, and leaving your family and all the friends that you've known, and that whole journey, and also a spiritual awakening that you've had in Hollywood of all places, and what that's meant to you. All right, so we'll be back with more of Jennifer Fernandez after this break. Stay tuned.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Information on hot water heating.
No. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out the words.
World music, playing track now.
No.
Let me try. Our daughter gets confused about which details in a story are important.
Which paper towels are most absorbent?
What?
Here are 5 product reviews.
Why are you not getting me?
See, I told you.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
We finally bought a place.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
So at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save. How is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today, I'm just an aluminum can, but one day, I could be a stadium.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
And we're back on The Life and Art with Jennifer Fernandez. So let's get right into it. Talk to me about the move from New York to LA that so many actors think about doing. Is it something that you would recommend now that you've gone through it?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, why not? I would do it all over again.
Got it.
Yeah, so I remember telling you that I wanted to do it since I was 18.
Right.
Finally got the courage to, because I saw someone else had done it who was also from the Bronx. And I'm like, he's doing fine. He was just a brave one. I say he like headlined it all, you know, he's like the pioneer of it all.
Yeah, because there's other people besides yourself after you that followed, also some
Right.
other classmates of ours and all of that.
He'll probably be on the show.
Yeah, eventually if he comes back to New York.
He comes back all the time.
All right, so I'll get him on the show.
Yeah, get him.
Yeah, so you made it to
So
House of Genesee, as
I
you like to call it.
did.
the house that
We
you
made
guys
it
live
to
in
the
LA.
House of Genesee, and I remember the first year was great because I was just pursuing acting and learning the lay of the land, which is very different than pursuing it here. I didn't really pursue it in New York, so I can't speak to that effect, but I know it's different.
Why do you think that was, that you didn't pursue it in New York, especially at a time where in New York now so much more is happening in TV and film than in, you know, previous years, let's say 10, 15 years ago? What was it about making the move that made it easier for you? Was it just the safety net not being there, family and friends, that made you go, all right, this is what I'm here for, this is what I got to do?
Yeah, I think definitely less distractions.
Got it.
I felt like I was being pulled in every direction here.
Right. And you had talked about there was a relationship, the boyfriend that sort of, you know, kept you here for a while. At that point, that had ended?
Yeah, we did the on and off thing for a bit.
Got it. Even while you were out in LA?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was willing to move to LA, bless his heart.
But that didn't happen.
No.
Like your master's degree, you decided that, you know, that wasn't what it was supposed to be?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you figure these things out in life.
Yes.
You go down one road, you're like, wait a minute.
Got it.
Take a detour, go left.
All right, so you leave family, friends behind. You have Jose, thankfully, that's out there in LA, the beacon. And you say, he can do it, I can do it. So you hit the ground running as soon as you make it to LA?
Yeah, just figured out which classes to take. Apparently there are classes that people want to see on your resume, and those are costly, so you want to take those. And so just figuring out the marketing side of it, because I didn't know anything about that. A lot of casting director workshops.
Right.
More scene study, more on camera. And I remember saying, I don't want to do theater. I did enough theater in New York. I'm here for film and television. And the first thing I get is a theater show.
Which you can't say no to.
No.
You needed
and
the experience
it was totally
in LA.
different, having like, not knowing anyone in the audience.
Right.
Like you really know what you're doing it for. It's like no one's coming up to you afterwards. Although, because it's different.
Right.
Here in New York, you'll go up to a stranger and be like, that was great work.
In
Not
LA,
in
you don't
LA,
see that?
no.
Really?
It's like if I don't know you, I'm not going to tell you you did great work. I'm just going to keep my distance. It's just a totally different atmosphere.
So then you started networking with other actors in LA, and basically the house that you were staying at with the room, Jose obviously was pursuing an acting career and still is, as we
And there was
know
another roommate too.
Right, so it was basically a house with different actors pursuing the dream.
Yeah.
And how was that? Was that inspiring? When you guys, you know, have dinner every night and talk about, we're going to take the world by the horns and we're going to...
No, you find that the longer people are in LA, like they seem a little discouraged, and yeah. Well, I was like very encouraged and inspired, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do this, and they're like, well, no, actually, that doesn't work.
Right.
You have to, but the thing is, like, there really is no one way.
Right, you have to figure it out for yourself
Right.
as you go.
So they're like, you have to go to this casting director, and you have to go to this casting director, and it's like, no, that might have worked for you, but that's probably not the way it's gonna work for me. And
all right, so talk to me about what's going on now in your life, because you'll tell me the timeline, but we've had conversations, and it seems like you've had a spiritual awakening, for lack of a better word, in the last, you know, couple of years. How did that come about? What does it mean to you? And what does that have to do with, was it anything that you saw in LA specifically, or were you just touched? So yeah, tell me.
Yeah. My roommate, who wasn't pursuing acting, but she was sort of behind the scenes. She was doing, she was a casting director assistant.
Okay.
So she was in the industry that way. So you meet people when they're in the industry in some way or form, some way, shape, or form. So she was attending a church, a Christian, non-denominational church. And I remember feeling like I needed something to ground me.
Right.
And so I said, okay, I'll go to church with you. She had invited me many times. And I'm like, Christian? I don't know. I was raised Catholic. I think that might be a little different. I don't want to do it. But I felt like I needed something more, because LA just seemed so superficial, and it was all about what you were driving and what you did and what can you get me.
The weather out there has to do something to the psyche, and when it's always 72 degrees, I mean, come on now. You have to worry about going to the gym.
It's so beautiful, though. I come here to visit, and I'm like, where's the sunshine?
Right. But that does something to you, I would think. But anyway, continue.
Sam makes that joke, too.
All righty then.
No, but yeah, so Entourage, the show Entourage, is very much like that. Of course, there's another aspect to it,
right?
But it's very much like superficial. And so I said, I need something deeper. And so I went to church for 3 years and just heard an inspirational message, and it didn't really take hold and transform, didn't take effect. Wow. It was just an inspirational message.
But then one day specifically something just
But then someone invited me to another church.
Oh, and that's the one that...
And that's the one, because he started speaking about purpose and destiny and how you were born for a reason.
And is there any connection there within your artistic life in that church? I mean, is there any performances that happen there, or?
Yeah, it's a church of filled with performing artists.
Got it.
So it's all transplants from all different parts of the country who have come to LA to pursue the craft and also want to keep that spiritual grounding and connection.
And you're basically very happy.
So I did
right
hosting there. Like, they have a drama ministry.
Wow.
We did plays. They bring in casting directors to help us. There are writers there who write faith-based scripts.
Right.
And so it's like a real community, just wanting to put the good out there instead of all the bad that comes out of Hollywood.
Got it. And that's sort of, the purpose of it.
Right.
And then you've done some TV hosting there as well.
I did.
Right. And you told me about a show that you were working on that it's interviewing pastors, basically?
Pastors would be included. It's all leaders of the church. So if you have a ministry and basically different departments, if there's a worship ministry, if there's a drama ministry, the leaders of that have put that together and sort of helmed it. And so I'm interested in knowing about their lives outside of the church and also in the church.
Right.
Because oftentimes we want to interview celebrities, but they're doing a lot for their community as well outside of the church. They have a life of their own, and they're pursuing other things. And so I just want to know more about the person.
Right. Right, which is similar to what I'm trying to do here with artists. Very, very interesting. We've run out of time. It goes by so quickly. There's so much that I wish I could talk to you about.
You'll have to have me back.
Very well. Is there anything that I left out that you want to discuss, or are we good?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, it's been a great conversation. It's great to see you, Jen. Thanks so much. That's all the time we have today.
Hank.
Sure. And thanks to Jennifer for sharing her life in art. Thank you to all of you for joining us today, and we'll be back with more stories from emerging artists when we return with the Life in Art. So yeah.